Good morning, YouTube viewers and subscribers. You're like, oh geez, here he is again, starting with an empty table. Well, it's not an empty table, I got a prop in my hand for drumming practice. But anyway, usually, as you know, I start out these videos with a blank table because I have something very special. Today is no exception, and I just want to reiterate one thing that I said in a video last week sometime. I have the most awesome subscribers and viewers there are, period. Because today's video features this beauty. Now, many of you will know what this is right away. Some will not. This is a Webra T460 4-stroke engine. It's not my engine. That's why I mentioned my awesome subscribers, because this was actually sent to me by one of those awesome subscribers. So the backstory is, and I'm going to babble a little bit, but I'm going to let this stay in view. The backstory is, this fellow subscriber, very awesome gentleman, sent me an email asking me, or let me know that he had one of these that he wants to fly. And he wanted me to take a look at it and see if I could kind of go through it and make sure it looked like it was airworthy and run-worthy. So I was like, sure, send me some pictures. I'd love to. I mean, that'd be fantastic. So we emailed back and forth a while, and then this appeared at my doorstep yesterday. And it was very difficult for me not to do this video last night, but I really kind of wanted to sleep on it. Anyway, this is a quick look at this video, at this engine, just prior to me running it for this gentleman. Now, I respect this engine very much, and I feel so honored that I actually have this in my hands. In fact, I wish that every single viewer and subscriber could actually do just what I'm doing right now, which is hold this rare piece of history. But anyway, enough babbling. What I'm going to do is, when I first got this engine yesterday, I was kind of looking it over. Let me zoom in here just a little bit more. That's the wrong way. So my first initial inspection was, does it rotate freely? And the answer is yes, because with a Webra engine, those of you that do not know, this is a rotary valve, belt-driven 4-stroke engine. One of the most rare engines on the planet, at least as far as I know. Now, Webra made a T440, a T460, and a T487. For whatever reason, on the Model Engine Test website, there are reviews for the T440 and the T487, but I have not been able to find really any information, much of information on this engine at all. Now, there is another subscriber that sent me some photos of a manual for this engine. Some of that manual is in German or Austrian, and it's very hard to obviously read. And it's a picture of a scan, I think, so it's kind of not the best quality. But I do have an exploded parts breakdown and some general operating instructions. So as I was saying, as I was rotating this through, I was thinking, oh geez, you know, what could possibly need to be fixed on this engine if I run into problems? Well, obviously bearings could need to be replaced, and these feel spectacular, so there's no real issue there. But before this arrived, I was online searching for parts for this engine, and I was unsuccessful, really. That's when another fellow subscriber and very good friend of mine who happens to be in Germany, hi Chloe, sent me an email saying, hey look, I found this website and they have a Webra belt. So I was like, really? Holy crap, that's cool. So I quickly went to this website and had to have it translated every time I clicked on something because it was in German. And lo and behold, they actually did have a belt. So before I even had this engine in my possession, I kind of did a silly thing and I went ahead and I bought that belt. As soon as I bought that belt and got the shipping information to me, I found that I went and looked back at it again and it said now it's out of stock. So as far as I know, I may have bought the last Webra T460 belt in existence. I don't know, but they're very hard to find. So anyway, belt, bearings are the only things that I would think that could need to be replaced. Now obviously, I would love to take a look inside at this engine, but I've been in communication with the owner, And I told him I'm not going to do anything with this engine unless you authorize it. Now, what he has authorized me to do is he wants me to inspect the belt. And because this engine feels so nice, I don't think the bearings need to be inspected. I did kind of want to take the back plate off and look in the back, but I'm really afraid that any kind of removal of the intake manifold or anything like that is going to have a gasket that's going to get destroyed. Now, I'm pretty confident that this belt cover does not have a gasket, so I don't think there's any harm in taking this cover off so we can at least check this belt out. And there you have it. So this engine looks to be in fine shape. Yep. So this belt still feels very pliant. Doesn't look like it's dry rotted anywhere. So I think we're in good shape here. Now I don't want it to slip off. Now the thing I don't understand is, first I don't understand is what this weird white stuff is here, because it's not a gasket. Looks like maybe it was the remains of something, but there's only a little bit there, so I don't know. Well, it looks like whoever, they put something there. I'm not sure why. I don't really even know that. Well, I guess this area could possibly get subjected to some oil residue. I don't know. But I would think they would tend to not want the belt area to be getting oily. Even though it's a toothed belt, that probably just doesn't seem like that'd be a good thing to do. So anyway, I have smelled, as I usually do. I like to smell all my engines I look at. It seems that it has been run maybe once or twice. I mean, without actually looking at any of the interior parts. That's about the most I can come up with. Either that or it was just run so long ago. I do smell the residue, I think, of fuel. But the thing that's fantastic about it is there's no carbon buildup on this exhaust at all. Nor does there even really seem to be any carbon buildup here. I do smell some fuel residue, so I'm thinking this thing was run one time. Twice, maybe. If even. And this is as far as I'm going to tear this engine down, because the next step for this engine is to go onto the stand and get run, and then probably get shipped back to the owner. Let's do this real quick. It looks like this has got a Woodruff key. Yeah, so let me zoom in here. So it does look like this prop washer has a Woodruff key, and the beautiful thing about this prop washer also is that there's not a mark on it. This mark that we see right here, I believe, is a timing mark. From what I read on the instruction manual, that timing mark is how you time the engine with the belt. And I don't have that manual open at this moment, so I can't read you verbatim from it. I can pause my video. Let me do that. I'm going to pause my video real quick and then go open that up so I can read you exactly what it says about setting the timing of this engine. Okay, excuse me. I've moved my laptop over here so I can read verbatim from the manual. And it says here for setting the rotary valve. So as you can tell, or you can see, the intake is here at the front, the exhaust is here at the back. I think that means our rotary valve sits this way and rotates probably this direction. So intake, yeah, or this way, I'm not sure. Anyway, so it's a rotary valve engine. And here's what it says in the manual. When mounting the motor, care must be taken that the rotary valve in the cylinder head is set correctly in relation to the crankshaft. When the piston is at top dead center, then the mark on the prop driver must correspond with the mark on the casing. That makes sense. That's very similar to just about every, OS engine says basically the same thing. Is that OS engines typically have a mark on the prop washer, and it usually either corresponds to top dead center or bottom dead center. In this case, it's basically like that because the Woodruff key is at bottom dead center. So there are no real photos in this manual. It says here, for proper positioning of the drive belt, the prop markings, prop driver to casing, and drive belt to cylinder head must be brought into alignment. That's all it says. Those are the two things that it says about setting the valve. This needs to be here, piston top dead center, and then you put the drive belt on. The thing that is confusing to me, I guess, is that I'm not really sure I understand what the drive belt really does. I mean, all it's going to do is drive the rotary valve, but I mean, what difference does it make how things are positioned? It's probably more important that this, since this is connected to the rotary valve, and it does look like, I zoomed out, let me zoom back in. It does look like there's a timing mark right there. So that's the thing that's odd, is that that timing mark and the mark on the prop washer here, I don't know if I'm going to be able to get them both into the viewing range. So this timing mark on the prop washer is set directly in line with this boss here, and this is off this way a belt tooth, it looks like. So initially I'm thinking, I don't know if that's right or not, but it looks to me, let me see here. If I put this in line, this is kind of tough to do. Yeah, maybe it's lined up. Maybe it's an optical illusion I'm seeing from my perspective, but to me it looks like it would probably have to be off quite a bit more than that for one belt tooth off. It looks like it's potentially one belt tooth off, but I'm not going to worry about that. I'm just going to run this as it is, because even though this weird white residue here kind of gives me the indication that somebody's already been in here, or maybe they just kind of did what I'm doing. They looked at it and said, oh, I need to seal this back up. I don't know. This does not look to me indicative of something that would come from the factory. So I don't believe that this engine has ever been torn down and inspected. Therefore, the timing should be correct anyway. It may be one of those things where, kind of like on a Sato thing, there's still a little bit of rock between the teeth, and you can still be lined up properly. Maybe that's what it is. So anyway, those are the instructions for setting the timing of this engine. Like I said, the very next step is going to be for me to take this out and run it. The last thing I want to do here is I want to put all of this stuff back on here. And many people are like, well, you know what, 60 size 4-stroke engines, what a waste, that's stupid. You know, they're not powerful, they can't do anything. One thing that irritates me the most when people start talking about 4-stroke engines is, oh, they're not powerful, they're not this, you know, they can't pull it, whatever. If you're buying a 4-stroke engine for the sheer power, because you think they sound cooler, which they do, than a 2-stroke, and they're going to be more powerful, first of all, there's not going to be too many 4-stroke engines in the same size and same displacement as a 2-stroke that are going to be more powerful, so you might as well get that out of your mind right away, unless you're looking at a YS. Who cares how powerful an engine is? I mean, the point is that there's just this cool factor that goes with these engines, a nostalgia factor that goes with these engines. And quite honestly, I, many years ago in this hobby, adopted the mindset that I love engines more than I love flying. Why in the hell is that giving me so much trouble? I love engines more than I love flying anyway, so I no longer look for airplanes to fly. I buy engines and look for airplanes that will fit my engine properly. And a lot of times I buy an airplane that has an open nose so that I can change out and fly many engines. So the last thing I want to do with this engine right now, before we conclude this video, and I know I've been kind of babbling a bit, is I want to weigh this against two other 60 size 4-stroke engines, because they'll be like, oh, it's heavy, it doesn't have power, all this kind of stupid crap. Well, you know what? Who freaking cares? It's cool. So I've got my scale set to ounces. I want to try and make sure I get all the weight on this thing here. So here is the weight of this engine. I'm reading it upside down. 22 ounces. Now the other two 4-stroke engines I've got here as comparisons are my Sato 65, which is a first generation with an air bleed carb. Let's see what it weighs in at. It weighs in at 19.25 ounces. And I'm certain that those that are concerned about power, that this Sato 65 is probably more powerful than the Webra, but it's not the point. The point is, how big a prop can they swing, and how cool are they? The last 60 size 4-stroke engine I have here is, I found another reason to get this in a video, is my OS FS60 open rocker. Now it weighs in at 20.0 or 20.60 ounces. So the Webra is marginally heavier, who cares? But the cool factor is just off the charts. So anyway, that was a quick look at this engine, and I really am honored and appreciate Dan for giving me the opportunity to evaluate and run his engine and include it in my channel. So with that being said, the next videos you see of this engine will be with this on my stand and running. So thank you for watching.